Good morning, good morning. His name is Bill Rice. My name is Mike Amos, and good morning to you.
And I'm looking on my collar, it needs a little work.
And of course, Bill Rice is with us today. Mike Amos will be coming in here from Grayton Beach, Florida this morning. And also look forward to Will Matthews' daily hit. And of course, Steve Camps will run in the show as we start a Thursday, and got a big basketball game by Troy University tonight on the road. So a big two-game road trip. We'll tell the tale on pretty much how Troy will be seeded in the conference tournament, but we'll be waiting on that.
They're playing the number one in Appalachian State, number one in the league.
That's right, they sure are.
So if we beat the number one team, that's very good. Also gets us closer to 20 wins for the season, which is kind of the number you look at in basketball for a really good season, 20 wins.
Yeah, no question about it. In fact, we've also got a lot of high school brackets to talk about. You know, that's going on strong this week and next week. Charles Henderson of Troy has got a.
Who are they playing? Are they playing
Prattville Christian? I believe that's the case. I'll tell you that. But that will be going on. Of course, we've got Pike County's girls.
No, that must be softball or something.
Yeah, all right. This is something.
No, high school baseball.
Yeah, and
high school softball.
That's right. We didn't. We got Carroll High of Ozark playing baseball against Charles Henderson today. That's big. That's their first game of the season.
Mike, you got to put on your mic.
And I thought I was talking loud enough, but evidently I wasn't. But also, you've got the Charles Henderson High School basketball team, and there people are still talking about that. What they did just the other day, they scored 99 points in a game.
Now let's make for people that don't follow high school basketball.
That's a lot of points, isn't it?
Well, high school basketball plays 4 8-minute quarters, so that's only 32 minutes compared to 40 minutes in college, and I think 48 minutes in the pros.
Exactly.
And to score 99 points in 32 minutes is you don't see that very often.
A lot, and of course that was that full court press. That they put on, and he knows all about it. He was on the team that scored 258.
Does Charles Henderson press every time, or just a lot of the time, or
I haven't seen
after every bucket?
You're right. I didn't see that, but it's going to be some good basketball coming up, and we'll be giving you these brackets a little bit later on in our show. Of course, Rice, what's going on with you?
Well, I'm happy that we avoided the war between Russia and Ukraine.
Do you think we have avoided it?
I think so, but who knows? People have been predicting it for about 2 or 3 weeks. I never thought people were that stupid to risk a global war. So far that hadn't happened.
Thank you.
What else is happening in the
world?
Well,
of course, we've got
gas
basketball.
prices. Everybody's talking about the gas prices are sky high, and winter's coming to an end. But we're going to have today's supposed to be a bad weather day in some parts of the state. I think we've got one more big freeze coming up north.
I know it. That's coming in here this afternoon, I think. We'll have to look at the weather this morning and find out.
Charles Henderson, they're playing in old Garrett Coliseum, and that's an old venue, Mike. Have you been to it many times in your life?
Over the years I've been there. You know what I used to go to is the Big Bam shows. These have the Big Bam summer shows, the Big Bam winter shows, the Big Bam fall shows, and
those were big deals, weren't they?
And my buddy
Bill J. Moody?
Bill J. Moody's been on this show before. You know Bill J. personally, don't you?
Well, he was a famous DJ back in the day on BAM. I've heard about that. But he later got into sales and became a real good radio sales person and then sales manager. And when I worked at Cumulus Radio in Montgomery for selling commercials for 7 radio stations, Bill J. Moody was on my sales team. So I got to know Bill real well. He's a super guy.
Of course, we're going to be talking to Bill some during this time. He's a good friend of mine. I've known him a long time. Of course, he was the head DJ with the Big Bam in Montgomery, Alabama, and he says, I love that voice. And when I was at the beach this weekend and I saw the Swinging Medallions in concert,
you probably thought of Bill J. Moody.
No, but the guy sounded just like Bill J. Moody, and I think he was trying to imitate Bill J. Moody in the way he talked. But
I'll tell you, I was living in Montgomery when Troy played Missouri.
Okay.
In Memorial Stadium, which was a big game, and I said, Bill J., you want to drive down to Troy and see the game? He said, I sure would. And so he was my guest, and we watched that game, and he loved it, like all the Troy fans did.
And yeah.
That's when we beat Missouri, and isn't that when the offensive lineman picked up the fumble out of there and ran
exactly
60
right.
yards?
In fact, he works for Sanders Companies, and a good friend of mine, and he has been on this show numerous times, and where
that place went wild on that play.
Yeah, and of course that when he outran all these defensive backs, what got me, and
yeah, and I think he looked at the big screen jumbotron to see where the defensive backs were trying to tackle him, so he could weave.
Yeah,
smart.
But that was a huge upset. Troy was down by 14 early in the game and came back and won the game over Missouri. And of course they tore the goal post down. You know who got a huge compliment? Missouri. You would have thought Missouri had hung the moon when Troy had beaten them.
Did Troy tear down the goalpost when we beat Oklahoma State? I don't think we did. I
don't think we did.
We expected to beat them.
Yeah, that's right. We wore them out. We did tear down the goalpost when we beat
Marshall.
Marshall. First time we beat Marshall.
Well, that was a big deal.
And then the next time when we played Missouri, we definitely broke. That was on national television. The unreal.
Nowadays, the Sun Belt would probably fine Troy $200,000 for the fans storming the field,
yeah.
But back then they didn't do that.
Yeah, you're right. And I'll tell you this: when we beat Missouri, we had the number one announcing team for ESPN. It was a Thursday night game, and
Herb Street was there.
Yeah, Herb Street and his partner were there.
Yeah, what's his name that used to be the host of Game Day that now is their big tennis announcer? Yeah.
Well, he was the big football announcer then, and it was we've never in our history of Troy University sports that we gotten so much
publicity.
Publicity, yeah.
Till we beat LSU, then we got a lot of.
Yeah, we did.
We talked about that on the show yesterday. Was it you or somebody mentioned that Orgeron was doing some interview?
Michael, I believe.
And he was talking about Joe Burrow and his run at LSU, but Coach O mentioned that Troy had beat him and he was this close to being fired, Coach O, after losing to Troy.
Yeah.
And the next week LSU turns around and shocks Florida at Florida to save its job.
Yeah.
And then he gets Joe Burrow to transfer in the portal we talk about all the time. And then they win a national championship. I think they went 15-0, and some people say it's the best college football team ever.
Yeah. Of course, we've got a lot of softball going on, so if we get confused between basketball and softball, we apologize, but
I want to
keep you up on what's going on.
Garrett Coliseum is an old venue, very unique-looking architectural plan.
Yeah, you're right.
And you talked about the Big Bam concerts, but another thing they had there was the Junior League Christmas Bazaar, whatever they call it.
I remember going to that many times.
That was a huge deal. And that got me thinking about how big the junior league was and probably still is in Montgomery for young women that from like out of college to their mid-30s.
I tell you, all they did was gather all the garments to give away all over the community. They put them in one big, I say one big stockpile, but one big, and then they charged you about $10 or $15 to come in.
Yeah, and then I think that's how then they started getting the vendors, the professional vendors, and they would have hundreds of them.
Yeah.
And
but
I went to that several. Now they have it at the Crampton Bowl facility that they have a lot of events at.
Yeah,
But forever it was at Garrett Coliseum.
Yeah. Take care of that from the German language.
Guten Morgen.
Hi, morning.
Good morning.
But some other events I have seen at Garrett Coliseum, I've never seen a concert, but I know Elton John played there.
Now I've seen all those people, but have you ever seen a big tractor driving?
No,
deal?
But they have those.
They used to have
I saw the Harlem Globetrotters there. I've seen the rodeo there.
I remember watching.
I have seen track meets, big major track meets there.
Indoor track meets.
A lot of cool events at Garrett Coliseum.
No question about it. We can mention them.
Dad and I went to a tractor pull one night. He was nice enough to take me because I always wanted to see the legendary Bigfoot.
Yeah.
The gigantic truck. And Dad and I were bored out of our minds. Man, that was horrible.
Yeah.
I had no idea they were like trying to get through the dirt and all that.
I've seen it. Yeah.
So the tractor pull was a letdown, huh?
Pro wrestling. I've seen pro wrestling from there.
I'll tell you, I saw a pay-per-view boxing event. My dad took the three boys. Big heavyweight fights were big pay-per-view events, and they had one at Garrett Coliseum. You know who it was? It was a young Mike Tyson against Michael Spinks.
I think I might have been there.
For the heavyweight championship of the world, and Tyson beat Mike Spinks in about a minute and a half.
Yeah.
So
6 seconds. Steve Camp said 6 seconds.
Steve probably went to it too.
Yeah. I'm sure they.
I don't know how much Dad spent for those 4 tickets, but we got about a minute of action.
It's if you're concerned about what day it is Thursday, February the 17th, and we've got a lot of basketball.
Starting to warm up.
I've got to mention this morning, Mike. Charles Henderson of Troy, 99, Headland, 64. An explosive second half. Yes, sir. It had to be an explosive second half. And third quarter helped Charles Henderson pull away from Headland in a 99-64 win. Trojans led 27-21 after one quarter, then extended the margin to 54-34 at the half, and then at the end of the third quarter it was 83-49 after 3 quarters, and of course Charles Henson had several people in double figures, which all players scored, and Achieves Shorts, that's the great guard, Achieves Short, I don't know how you pronounce that, had 21. Jaden Spearman had 16. Tay Knotts had 13. Tyler Carlton had, and J. Carlin Burney had 11 points apiece. Patrick Burke led Headland with 19. Charles Henderson, 23-5, plays in the southeastern region against Pike Road on Friday at 10:30.
Pike Road, okay.
Pike Road.
They had finished second in baseball, and they almost won it. They won the state championship in football with a football team that I wish I would have seen. They must have been really something, just full of future college players. And now they're real good in basketball too.
Yeah.
But they got to play the Trojans.
Yeah, there's no question about it. They've got to play
I would
the
love to see that
Trojans.
game. Do they let the students? I don't think they let the students out. They used to let the students out who wanted to go to these regional games because they play them during the school day.
And of course, Charles Henderson baseball gets their start today. I think that's they're playing Prattville Christian. No, that's softball. Excuse me, that's girls softball playing Crutchville. Baseball is playing Carroll of Ozark today at 5 p.m. And Headland plays at Opp today. And
Pike Liberal Arts got started the day after they won the basketball state championship. They played a doubleheader in baseball.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they beat Clark Prep, I think, 15-0 and 10-0.
They're pretty good in baseball.
But you know who got his varsity baseball debut? Will Rice.
Yeah, how did he do?
I haven't seen his stat line, but he pitched, and he obviously didn't give up a run.
So to be more confusing ever is the tournaments start in high school softball. Charles Henderson playing against Prattville Christian, and then Charles Henderson again later on today at 4:45 playing in W.S. Neal of Bruton in a.
So obviously Prattville Christian plays in the public school league.
Yeah, that's right. Who now?
Prattville Christian.
Oh yeah, they are. They've already moved, I think. They've
another school.
Yeah, they've been in there.
But again, it gets to be pretty hard to figure out who's playing who. But it's fun to be there. Of course, you know, I'm sure you're gonna have a lot of softball players still playing basketball, and basketball players now playing softball. It's gonna be sort of confusing.
Yeah, the basketball players got Nelson.
Yeah.
The top baseball player in Alabama. He was a very good basketball player. So he went straight from the basketball court to the pitcher's mound, and I think he played right field too.
Troy gets started in baseball this weekend with 4 games against Holy Cross. And we've already talked about the grandest player ever to play for Holy Cross was? Bob Cousy. The great Boston Celtic, but we do play Holy Cross.
I think I can name another one. He was a good running back, and then he became an actor.
No, he didn't play for Holy Cross.
You think
he played for Cornell?
Oh, okay, Ed Marinero.
Ed Marinero, yeah. Didn't he play for Cornell, Mike? I think it is.
Holy Cross had some player that was a Heisman Trophy candidate, or they had some football player.
But it wasn't Ed Marinero.
Okay.
But he was my favorite. He was great, you know, and he was a big.
Dad, that Vestavia Hills is now the #1 team in soccer in 7A, and their captain of the team is Isaac Crow Obenmiller, our cousin.
Yeah, oh yeah, He's supposed to be one of the top players in the state. In fact,
he just won Rhodes College out of Memphis yesterday. Great college up in Memphis.
Yeah, big academic school.
I need to check on my friend Wes Gaylord's youngest daughter. She plays. I can't remember if she plays for Mountain Brook or Vestavia. She's point guard, but when she was about 7th and 8th grade, she was a prodigy. And she ought to be on up there in high school now. I saw clips of her playing, and I've never seen a young girl that could do the moves like she did and do the passes.
Oh yeah,
and handle the ball as good as she did.
If you can't dribble through your legs, they're not going to let you play.
She could dribble between her legs, around her back, right to the right, to the left, and she was so much faster than everybody. She's small, like all the Gaylord boys, but she's so quick and fast.
Yeah. Want to bring this up one more time, and I'll let it sleep, but I'm going to bring it up one more time. You know, everybody talks about, Pike Liberal Arts moving to another league, moving up to the Alabama High School Athletic Association. You know, they hope to make that move as early as next year. And one of the reasons why is something I'm going to say right now. The Pike Liberal Arts basketball team beat won the state championship in basketball with a 91-47 beating. They beat Morgan Academy of Selma. All right. In the fourth quarter, they instead to make things easier or make things look better for the other team, they gave it a running clock.
They did not turn the clock off.
They did not turn the clock off. Like if it's an 8-minute quarter, well, they just let it run out, until.
So when you were shooting free throws, the clock was running.
That's exactly right. And that is one of the reasons why you needed to make the move and make the move as soon as possible. When you have a state championship and they say, look, let's let the clock run in the fourth quarter, that's shameful. That is shameful.
Where they failed, though, is the Academy and probably Level Arts should have been playing for the state championship. The seeding sounded to me like it was off. I mean, obviously those are the two best teams. And now Tuscaloosa Academy is going to public school schedules just like Pike Level Arts is going to.
Yeah, they are. You're right. That's smart, too.
I don't understand. I mean, as a coach, though, you can't have a running clock in a state championship.
Oh,
That's
man.
unheard of.
You know,
something like that in my life.
I would be
Forrest Lee told us yesterday that.
I mean, get your brains beat out, but at least let the kids play a normal game.
Forrest told us that is a rule, an AISA rule, that if you're down by 30 points in the second half, after some point, that they let the clock run.
That makes it look a little bit better.
I mean,
Not real better.
Why don't they just hold the ball? I mean, you don't have to. There's no shot clock.
Yeah.
Well, it might be a good topic, is championship games, be it Super Bowls, NCAA football championships, NCAA basketball championships, lopsided blowouts. What comes to mind? There's been a lot of them.
Well,
seems like I remember some national championship football games that like teams won 55-10. I mean,
you know the other thing that gets so confusing about these high school games here is that they also have soccer matches going on at the same time, for their state championship. So you get confused, on who's going to be playing who.
Yeah. Well, when you look in the agate type in the Dothan Eagle and you see all these games, you got to look closely. Now, is this soccer? Is this girls softball?
That's
is this boys baseball? Is this?
It was basketball.
Well, Alabama pulled on against Mississippi State last night. They won by 5, and Tuscaloosa Nate Oates got ejected. 2 technical fouls.
With 8 minutes to go, and they were trailing by 8, weren't they? At the time he was.
Yeah, and then Alabama went on a run and hot it up, took the lead. Mississippi State shot horrible.
Yeah,
the last 10 minutes of the game. I mean, they were just.
You're right. I know they went 5 or 6 minutes without scoring a point. I know that.
And then Auburn was trailing early against Vanderbilt. They came back and won by 14. So I think the line was 14. They won by 14.
I'll tell you, I don't ever watch the games, but I follow them on the internet and check the box scores. What surprised me about the Alabama-Mississippi State game was the attendance. 9,100 is what they announced. That's a 15,000-seat arena.
Yeah.
I thought Alabama had all this excitement around Nate Oates and basketball now, and this is an SEC game, and you're trying to get ready for the NCAA tournament, and you got 6,000 empty seats.
That's right. I noticed that.
Also an SEC game against a team that's only 70 miles from your campus. So it's like Mississippi State would have brought some fans.
Yeah, you would have thought that. You're right. But all of this is, how many more weeks of regular season do we have? Two more weeks?
Yeah, I think Alabama's got like maybe 4 SEC games left.
Yeah, okay.
Or 3, maybe 3.
All right,
and they play Saturday at Kentucky, and then they get 2 more games.
And of course, Troy's on the road.
They're in Boone, North Carolina, playing in the mountains.
Boy, I tell you, that's got to be tough. And the weather up there is supposed to be horrendous the next 2 or 3 days.
If you want to see the most beautiful baseball stadium with the backdrop of the Blue Ridge Mountains in the background, you've got to Google Appalachian State's baseball stadium. I saw a picture of it the other day, and the quote was, Appalachian State plays baseball in heaven. You got to see this picture. It's really incredible.
I know that's got to be.
I've never been there. I want to go to a game there, but the campus must be really pretty, right?
Yeah.
The whole campus?
That's definitely on one of my bucket lists. I've got to get up to Appalachian State.
I've been there, but I'm thinking that I know I went to a football game
Was it pretty?
Several years ago. It was in the daytime. It was a pretty big campus. I was very impressed with that campus, and
yeah, the elevation there is like 3,600 feet. Like
Yeah.
you're up in the mountains.
Mike, I remember DeMontre Carter. DeMontre Carter caught a pass and went something like 90 yards for a touchdown to lead Troy to victory when I saw that game.
I'd like to say, though, other than that game and a few other games, has owned Troy in football. I mean, they've owned Troy like nobody else.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. DeMontre Carter. DeMontre Carter, won that game for Troy, and of course, I've never seen a player single-handedly beat a team like we beat Mississippi State. Do you remember that? In a rainstorm.
Yeah, well, I mean,
And DeMontre Carter was, I think, there's a picture used to be in the athletic department where they had about 4 or 5 Mississippi State guys trying to catch this Troy guy. It was about 6 or 7 players in the picture. One of them was DeMontre Carter, and the other 6 were defensive players from Mississippi State.
Yeah, Rayshon Reed intercepted the ball and went 80 yards in that game too. That was a huge play.
Yeah.
App State is leading the Sun Belt. I think Texas State and App State are. App State's a 4-point favorite against Troy tonight at 5:30. That is an early start for Troy tonight.
Oh yeah, it is. Again, what time?
5:30.
Oh yeah, okay.
Appalachian State's a 4-point favorite. I
got
think
you.
you got to jump all over Appalachian State after what Troy did against Little Rock.
Yeah, I think. But
You said Troy's guard was
hurt.
the kid from Montgomery was.
Duke Miles from Aubrey Lee has not played the last 2 games, and if he doesn't play, Troy's not going to win the conference. There's no way.
Well,
He's just that big of a difference maker.
What is wrong with him? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't know if he got some kind of leg injury or what. But he hasn't played.
Yeah.
And then Waters, who's played for Troy the last 2 years, is also a starter. He hasn't played in the last 4 games, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
See,
None of this stuff ever gets released.
I know it. Yeah, you're right. You don't know, and you also don't hear about the COVID players. Like, I guess they changed the protocols of who has to sit out and how often they have to test, because a couple of weeks ago or months ago you were getting all these COVID protocols, and then that seems to have disappeared.
Yeah, Troy just looked so tired against Arkansas Little Rock. I watched that game. I went back and watched some of it. They just seemed fatigued, which is strange because they've got 3 or 4 extra players because of the COVID rule, where guys can come back and play. So Troy's got more guys on the roster than they've ever had ever.
Yeah. They got 2 guys on the roster that are just figureheads. They played for Pike. One of them played for Pike Liberal Arts last year, and
Yeah, but I mean, those guys are just walking.
oh, I know what I'm saying. They just walk-on players, to help them fill the 15.
Instead of 13 scholarship players, though, Troy's got 16, I think.
Yeah. You're right.
Well, it's a huge game. If Troy could win on the road against the number 1 team, that would be exciting and give Troy a real chance to win the regular season title and be seeded number 1 in the tournament. I would think even if they could somehow win the regular season conference, that would build the program and create interest and help recruiting. But even if you lost in the tournament, you would probably still get an NIT bid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
If you win the regular season.
Yeah. That'd be a lot of fun.
Tournament.
Of course, we got, just loads of games going on. Of course, the games that mean a lot. One of them is Carroll High beat Greenville 65-56. They're in the tournament in Montgomery now. And also Charles Henderson, 23-5, play in the tournament against Pike Road on Friday.
What's Pike Road's
at
record?
10:30.
Does it show?
Let's see. Should show it. But I know
Pike Road won by 2, and they're sub-regional. And then I guess Carroll was playing Brew Tech.
That's right.
So the winner of the Pike Road Charles Henderson game will play the winner of Carroll and Bruce. So it could be Ozark versus Troy
That's right.
for the right to go to the state tournament.
It could very well be,
I'll tell you what, though, you got to think Pike Road's going to have phenomenal athletes. I mean, they've been so dominant in football and baseball as well.
yeah, they've got good players.
And they should have a better crowd being right there and close to Montgomery.
Well, here it is right here in 5A, Charles Henderson versus Pike Road at 10:30 on Friday, and then the other game is Carroll High of Ozark playing up against well,
I think it's Brewtech.
yeah, that's right, Brewtech. Okay, that's good.
What do you do? You go to Martin's after the game, I guess.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And I want to take Mike to Dirk's Filet and Vine in Cloverdale. He's never eaten that.
I've never eaten there, but I've eaten at Martin's probably 500 times. I'm not exaggerating.
I've probably eaten there about 25.
I have eaten there many times and had their coconut pie about the same amount. But it's great food.
Their cornbread?
Yeah, their cornbread's wonderful. Their fried chicken's wonderful. They used to have, though, and let me tell you this, and this has made me not like it as much. They used to have a relish that put on. Did you ever see that?
Yeah.
They put it on every table. That is a pickle relish that made your vegetables taste so good, and they stopped doing it, and it has actually had an effect on me going there to eat. I just loved it when we
probably a cost saving
had the relish.
To not
They say it costs pretty much. They used to have an individual that would make it up, the pickle relish.
Oh, okay.
And he just stopped doing it because it cost him too much to make it.
They changed ownership about 15 to 20 years ago, and it's still good.
But that's the same girl though that her parents had it, isn't it?
Well, maybe. But I just remember it when I was a kid and younger. It was even better then.
You know, we
Dad, you ought to call Montgomery your second home for sure. You worked up there for 25 years, didn't
That's right, sure did.
And so you have eaten at all the restaurants and.
All right, I tell you what,
What were the best lunch restaurants?
What now?
What were the best places to go to lunch?
Oh gosh, they used to have a chicken place on. Well, I probably can't tell you where it was, but they had one over in East Montgomery, right across from the shopping center over there. They had a good fried chicken place there.
Well, going way back, you would have the places would be not just lunch.
He went to Huntington every day.
Oh yeah, went to Huntington.
That's a little place that not many people would know about. It was
Huntington used the
Morrison's.
Yeah, Morrison's as their
like their Sodexo.
And so for $3 you could get all you could eat Morrison's. That's pretty good, wasn't it? Of course,
you had the Sahara.
Morrison's cafeteria in the mall there was good
for a long time.
And then you hit it just a while ago, right? What was that one?
The Sahara was where all the politicians and.
If you wanted to see George Wallace or Albert Patterson, I mean not Albert Patterson, but Patterson or any of those governors, they would eat there a lot. I know Wallace loved to eat there.
Well, it was.
We used to go to the place Daryl's. You remember Daryl's?
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah, I hadn't thought about it since you
I
just
would say
said
that
so.
arguably the most famous restaurant in not just Montgomery but Alabama for a long time was the Elite Cafe.
Oh yeah,
in downtown Montgomery.
Wonderful, and did I ever tell you the story of how we used to eat at the Elite? We would be going to a basketball game or a football game. I think it was a basketball game. And Joe, it would be Dickie Calhoun and Joe Falk, and would be
with you.
We'd be going. I think Ben Beard would be going with us, and we would stop by and the Elite, and Joe or one of them would get out and go in and say they wanted to make sure that when they come back through that they're gonna have a fillet of fish. What was it?
Yeah, I can't remember that fish that they were famous for.
They were famous. Yeah, no, it wasn't halibut. It was a bay.
I don't know, but that was their
let me say,
meal.
But they stopped by there and made sure that they they had 4 plates of fish. You know.
I once did a story for the Independent on all the famous restaurants in Montgomery, and what struck me is that they were all, I would say 90% of them were owned and operated by families of Greek heritage.
All right, stop me when I all right.
That's the way Birmingham's great restaurants are too.
Yeah. But see, they would run out.
Throughout the South, you're right.
They would
great families have the best restaurants.
That's right. And they had a Greek restaurant over on
Eli, Sahara. They were all Greek
yeah,
restaurants.
That's right. They're delicious food.
You used to go to that restaurant off Zelda. What was it, $3 Cafe, or what was it called?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Called, it's still open today.
But the reason, let me go back to what I was talking about. The reason they had to make sure that they were going to get the fish that night was they would, when they ordered the fish, they'd say, well, give me 25 flounders. That's what it was, stuffed flounder. It was stuffed flounder that they were famous for. And and he would go in and make sure that when we came back through from the basketball games, we'd make sure we had stuffed flounder for dinner. So
you know, it was a thrill when you got to go to the Eli. We went a couple of times growing up, and I later heard, you know, it was why it closed. Yeah. I don't know. It was, some people say that it was hurt by they didn't have the good parking because so many students were going to Troy University in Montgomery at night.
Yeah, that's right.
But
now I tell
Montgomery lost the Eli Cafe. The Sahara is closed.
What was a great restaurant located in the mall there, the Eastdale Mall?
Well, there was a Mr. G. What was it? There was
it was a good restaurant.
There was a seafood restaurant in the Montgomery Mall that was.
That's right. What was that?
Was that Jubilee?
No.
No, Jubilee is a great restaurant though. What's the name of that place? I know who you're talking about. That was a good restaurant.
It was there for a long time.
In the Montgomery Mall.
In the mall, that's right. And but you know, of course,
Jubilee Seafood is Rush is my brother's our food snob, and you know he's one of the founders of this popular website called Lunch in the Gump, where they rate restaurants in Montgomery. And Rush says, and he would know, that Jubilee Seafood has been the best restaurant in Montgomery for a long time.
But now he and his buddy Longshore.
Longshore would love. He would tout.
They talk about getting that seafood every morning. You know.
What about the restaurant that was right off Troy Highway, right before you got to Taylor Road?
Oh, that was the great restaurant.
It was on the right.
It was a steak restaurant.
I know, I'm hitting blanks. I ate there and it was great. Yes, that was right.
I didn't know we were going to be promoting Montgomery restaurants this morning, but we were talking about.
I was just thinking about how you drove to Montgomery.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're right.
That was the steak restaurant that was, I can't believe the Green Lantern.
Green Lantern, you're right.
Green Lantern, yeah. I remember seeing that when I was a kid my whole life.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
And
they also had a.
Was that another Greek family that owned that?
Probably, but I'm not sure.
I don't know about that.
You know, I worked for a year for Bill Blunt at his investment banking firm, and as an intern. But it was so fun that at least once or twice a week he would take the whole staff out to eat, and we just went to all these great places. And Bill would always pick up the tab. But Tony's Pizza was another one that was fun out by Maxwell Air Force
But you know who's squirming up there in the box? It's Steve. Steve used to have a great Italian food, and I want to say he was in with Tony's. Wasn't it out of Fort Walton? Tony's. That's right.
Really?
Yes, Tony's.
Yeah, Steve's restaurant was Tony's, wasn't it?
Yeah, Steve, your restaurant was Tony's. And Steve right now today can put you a meal on that you wouldn't believe, Italian food.
You know, Montgomery has some great restaurants, but per capita, I'd put there's not many towns that can compete with Troy for great, iconic restaurants, in my opinion.
You know, you said something about your brother being a what?
Food snob.
A what now?
He's a food critic.
He's a food snob.
He would not put on the Lunch in the Gump. They would not rate any chain restaurant. It had to be locally owned, independent.
And Michael is.
My wife won't go to chain restaurants.
See, Michael's wife, she's a food snob.
My wife enjoys cars every time we get over. It's a common occurrence.
People can look up Lunch in the Gump. It's got
Yeah.
thousands of members now.
Yeah.
And let me tell you how it started. Now it's a Facebook site, and everybody just goes and talks about restaurants. Well, the way it started is about Rush and about 8 or 10 of his buddies,
Food snobs.
Montgomery Country Club crowd probably.
Yeah, that's right.
They would go eat somewhere in Montgomery, and they'd eat and have a good time, and then they would anonymously rate it, do a review, and they were all clever writers, and the reviews were always real funny.
Yeah.
And so they would give a review, but they wouldn't say who they were, but it was Lunch in the Gump, and it just people started discovering it, and then now it's morphed into something where it's different.
Yeah.
But
that tickles me.
like what's Hamburger King would be one that they would go to, or the.
But now that was the greasier the better.
What
Hamburger. The greasier the hamburger, the better the hamburger. Wouldn't you say?
And there's a real good restaurant that might be reopened in Cloverdale, down from Dirk's Filet and Vine. That was a good steak restaurant.
Yeah.
Jubilee Seafood.
Michael is like we
Tony.
said. His wife likes to fine dine. Mike, the problem is though, you start off with a wine, and the wine's gonna cost you $100, isn't it?
Oh, I mean, I don't buy the wines. I know how much the wines cost. I can't do that.
The best one down there, arguably, you tell me. I think you told me it's in the top 3 for sure. Is Cafe 30A.
Yeah, that's Cat and Harry's on it.
That's right. That was started by the lady that started Cat and Harry's, which is an iconic bar.
Yeah.
But Cat and Harry's also serve food.
And another thing too.
They're mentioning another legendary restaurant, the Red Bird Inn.
Yes, sir. That was for fried chicken. For fried chicken, the Red Bird Inn.
Fried chicken and onion rings.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's
in
right.
that old hotel in downtown.
No. This was located This was located south of Montgomery, almost outside the city limits. The Red Bird Inn.
Well, there was a place that did a meet and three in that old motel in the north side of downtown Montgomery, up on the bluff.
This restaurant is called the Sahara Restaurant.
That's right.
Which was famous until 2005.
Well, that was one downtown. Not downtown, but on.
And then there was another restaurant called the Majestic Cafe and Rooftop Garden Restaurant.
I think that might have been the one that I'm talking about at that hotel.
Did you had the hotel that burned down?
Dale's.
Dale's Penthouse. Had a big steak restaurant. Yeah.
That was.
On the list.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that I did a story about that tragic fire and did a lot of research on it. But that was Dale's Penthouse was started by the Dale's Steak Sauce.
Yeah, that's
people.
right. That's the same.
And
You know where they got their
They
start?
kind of, I guess, franchised it for lack of a better term, and there were about 10 or 12 of them in the South.
Well,
But the first one was always, it was in a basement of a building in downtown Birmingham.
well, I'll tell you this right
And
now.
the only one that was not on the ground floor or a basement was Dale's Penthouse, which was in the penthouse of a 20-story building.
Yeah.
And it burned.
Well, I've been to Florence many times over the years, and I've eaten at the place, and the Dale's Penthouse or that restaurant was in with a place in Florence.
It was?
Yeah, the restaurant in Florence.
Well, it was a fine dining. It was probably, in Montgomery, it was probably the place to go eat. Upscale dining until that tragic fire.
Yeah, it sure was. And I tell you another good one, Mike. We used to race to get to it every Sunday when my daughters were going to Auburn. We'd meet them at the hotel in Tuskegee. You remember how good that was?
Tallahassee.
Tallahassee, excuse me.
Thumbs up, yeah.
Yeah, that ranks up there pretty high for me.
Yeah, meet and three.
That was
would
the
be,
Tallahassee Hotel.
I would say meet and three, Alabama. I'm rating Hotel Tallahassee in its prime, number one.
Well, I tell you though.
Sisters right now would beat them.
I mean, Red Schoolhouse.
Red Schoolhouse would beat them.
Would be up there.
Have you eaten at Red Schoolhouse much?
Yes.
Well, I tell you what, it's wonderful.
'Cause they still got a
especially in the
buffet.
summer when they've got peas and corns, and that's what they've got. They have a buffet starting on
Well,
every Wednesday through Sunday.
Sisters in Red Schoolhouse are in the top 5 in Alabama right now, and one of them's in between Troy and Brundage, and one of them's in Raymer.
That's right. Yeah,
I mean,
Raymond.
when sisters used to do their fresh vegetable night, that was the best buffet I'd ever had in my life.
Yeah, that's right.
Thursday night every once in a while. That was insane.
Oh, it was.
But Hotel Tallahassee was not only the food was great, but the atmosphere, and in this old downtown hotel was really neat.
I'll
and
tell you what.
It burned.
Yeah.
It burned.
Mike, I can't name it right now, but I've eaten there several times outside of Auburn, or outside of the Auburn city limits, south. There's a restaurant there, and your mom and I used to eat there quite a bit.
Huh. All right.
And we ate a steak restaurant. It was a steak restaurant, but it was also catfish. They had several things on the menu.
The most famous bar in Auburn, as far as I know, not ever going to Auburn, was the Supper Club.
Yeah, I don't think that's open anymore, though, is it?
But the Supper Club used to be a real supper club, because I can remember my mom and dad, when we lived in Opelika, they would go eat at the Supper Club, right?
That was the supper club that served pizza. That's what they served, was pizza. You remember that, Mike? Just outside of Auburn. Was
I do
Auburn?
That, are you thinking about the Supper Club bar, though?
Yeah, the Supper Club bar became a bar,
there,
but I think at one point it might have been a bar too, but they were equally known for their food.
Yeah, and mostly pizza. I remember, they did
one of the best restaurants in the state called Acre. Their chef goes on all these world-renowned cooking shows. I've been there. It's really good.
Now, Jane Corley, if you're awake this morning, my sweetheart, Jane and Buck Corley, some of my best friends, her mom and daddy owned a restaurant in Opelika, Alabama, and it was fabulous. And everybody ate there. Every coach and everybody ate there on Sundays. It was called. It was run by Jane and Buck Corley's parents ran that.
It's Rush.
And it was a antebellum home. It was located in an antebellum home.
It was a chain, so the lunch and the gump crowd wouldn't even go there. But what was really, really good, and I'm old enough to remember going there, was Morrison's Cafe.
Wonderful.
I don't know how they did it, but they had the formula down, buddy. It was fantastic.
I've eaten there hundreds of times, and I'll tell you something else about Jane Corley's the restaurant. They had meringue on their pies, wonderful homemade pies, and the meringue be on them that high.
What happened to Morrison's Cafe? They started from somebody in Mobile, I think.
They were out of Mobile.
The last one I ever went to was in the Tuscaloosa Mall when I was working at the University of Alabama. They still had one.
Now I'm gonna hit you now, and all you Crimson Tide guys. The 15th Street Diner was a great place to eat.
Oh yeah, I feel.
In Tuscaloosa.
I was sick when that closed. I used to go there 3 days a week.
Yeah, great food. And
well,
it went with the storm. Did you know that?
No,
it went with the storm. They blew it down.
The best meat and three in Tuscaloosa when I was in school there was City Cafe in Northport, which is, I'm told, is still up and going as good as ever.
Well, let me tell you this.
I used to eat there 2 or 3 days a week too, and that was only 3 or 4 years ago. I used to go there.
Well, how about the City Cafe in Montgomery? An excellent place to eat. That was one of Montgomery's top 5. And then you got one they moved out to Hempstead.
You know who owned at one time the owner of that restaurant was Sandra Palazzos' brother.
Yeah. Now one of the top.
Sandra is married to Bob
Corley. That's right, Jane Corley.
Sandra is Greek. They're big in the Greek Orthodox Church, so all these Greek restaurants we're talking about, those are her people.
Yeah. But Johnny.
The show today is brought to you by the Montgomery Chamber of Commerce. Montgomery.
Yeah. Well, let me just say this, Johnny, my buddy from, located on the, his restaurant. What's the name of it? Johnny
G's?
No, you know, it's a very popular restaurant located on the.
Well, when you start naming movies or restaurants,
Yeah.
and the names, I could go to the restaurant 100 times and I'm not going to be able to remember the
What
name.
are you talking
The
about?
Montgomery, Johnny. It's a great restaurant right there at the intersection of
Zelda?
yeah, no.
Oh, you're talking about Down the Street Cafe?
Yeah, down the street cafe. No, that's one of my favorite places.
That's
down
on the
street.
curve in Zelda Road.
Yeah, it's on Zelda Road, and I used to eat there all the time for lunch, and they had the best cut.
I like that too. It's good.
You know what they had that was so good? Their cut corn. They had that on every menu pretty much, and it was just delicious. And you know, they were from Raymer. That girl there was from Raymer.
They're huge Alabama fans.
Yeah, oh yeah, and but there's been some good ones. That's no
When I worked at the Montgomery Independent, the owner was Bob Martin, and he had a little group of drinking buddies, and they'd go have a toddy late in the afternoon, and they would go to Down the Street Cafe, which is also a bar too.
Exactly, and in fact, they used to have 50 to 60 bands there every Wednesday night. It was great. I'll tell you something. Let me tell you a story, and don't start laughing too soon now. But it did happen. I used to eat there a lot, and I said, "Pass the Worcester, pass the Worcester." See, I've never been able to say Worcestershire sauce, but I say pass the Worcester. And my name started to be Worcester. When I would go in there and sit down to eat, they said, "How you doing, Worcester?" For years, my name at that restaurant was Worcester. And that's the rest of the story. You know, she was from Raymer, like I said, but you know, when I was constantly asking somebody to pass me the Worcester, or do you have any Worcester? That's Worcester sauce. And let me tell you, Worcester sauce is a big thing with me, especially when you're eating pork chops or beef tips on rice.
Well,
I've got to have some Worcester sauce.
I've told you how many times every weekend Dad would cook a steak, it seems like, if we didn't go to the Country Kitchen or Nelson's by the Lake.
Yeah.
But he always marinated his steaks with Worcestershire sauce, and so I do too.
Yeah, you got
And
the oatmeal and the oatmeal and the other restaurant in Dothan.
But then the other thing, for a change of pace though, what do? You change off from the Worcestershire sauce and you go to Dale's sauce.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm a Dell's fan for sure.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. How about Dothan?
Can we take a Milo's tea break?
Let's
They
do.
have certain Milo's that famous for their restaurant, but also they're just as famous for their tea, which they sell.
And then they're pretty famous for their hamburgers, aren't they?
Yeah, the burgers are famous.
Oh my God, their burgers. I get a burger every time I go to Birmingham.
There's some Milo's in Montgomery near East Chase.
Mike, I was turning to walk into to my hot dog place yesterday. Your mama said, "Come on, we're gonna go eat somewhere else."
Chris's Hot Dogs?
Yeah, not Chris's.
You're talking about institution restaurants in Montgomery.
Sneaky Pete.
Sneaky Pete's. I was going to walk in. I love Sneaky Pete's. You know, and I like it because they always have horseradish. Yeah.
Chris's Hot Dogs has been in business continually from the same family, I think, since the 1919. So it's been
And
in
Green
business
Sandwich Shop in
100
Montgomery, and your daddy used to talk about it all the time. In Troy, Green Sandwich Shop in Troy, right next to the old post office, was the best hamburgers
Let's
in
talk
town.
about, when we come back, let's talk about restaurants we miss that were institutions, and that would be at the top of the list.
Sure will. We'll
Like
be back
Rose's
to
Barbecue.
more Today in L.A. Have a
Right, we're still on.
Right here, right now. It's the Premier Super Truck Sale. 1,500, 2,500, 3,500, and even a 4,500. Ram, Ford, Chevy, GMC. Over 55 trucks. Super Truck Sale price. Save up to $10,000 on select models. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
Shipping Wars is back and bigger than ever.
More work, more money.
These shippers have a long road ahead. Who will come out on top?
If we can get it there on time, we'll make some good money.
Shipping Wars. New episodes Tuesdays at 10. Only on A&E.
In the market for a new or pre-owned vehicle? We've got what you're looking for.
So come see us at Bill Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC in Troy, and you too can experience the Jackson satisfaction.
Bill Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC.
At Cost Plus 10%, we offer your favorite brands at the best price. At Piggly Wiggly, we keep it simple. We price our products at cost, then add 10% at checkout. We carry all your favorite name brand foods, and we accept manufacturer coupons. Find us on Facebook and see our weekly specials.
Troy Cable Security Wi-Fi doorbell camera allows you to answer the door from your smartphone when you are at home, at work, or on the go. When a visitor presses the button, Troy Cable Security sends a live video feed to your smartphone so you can see, hear, and speak to the person at your door. With the doorbell camera, you can have your porch light turn on automatically when it detects motion at night to create the appearance that someone is at home. You can view video clips so you can always know who stopped by when you are out. Troy Cable Security. You love them, protect them.
Right here, right now. It's the Premier Super Truck Sale. 1,500, 2,500, 3,500, and even a 4,500. Ram, Ford, Chevy, GMC. Over 55 trucks. Super Truck Sale price. Save up to $10,000 on select models. Nobody beats a Premier deal.
Here, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks on the bypass in Troy, where they've got a giant, and I'm talking about a giant truck sale going on right now. You can save right now $10,000 off your favorite Jeep, Cherokee, or a Ram truck right now. And of course, it's a beautiful, beautiful lot full of brand new and used, great looking used cars too, right there for you to get a great selection.
All right, here's the topic. We're moving south from Montgomery. Let's say beloved restaurants that are no longer here. Now, before we left to the commercial, we mentioned Green's Drug Sandwich Shop, which was famous for their Hanchy burgers, named after Warren Hanchy's daddy, I think, made them.
All right, the Red Wave had that Red Wave hamburger, a hot dog that was delicious.
Mr. Nauman brought us that.
And, and Charlie Nauman.
I miss the Great Western Sizzler. I ate there my whole life.
Yeah, that's right. Dare Delight was a great place.
Mr. Nauman brought that into town,
sure
too.
did. Had two of them, Red Wave and Dare Delight.
Well, what about Wilson's Barbecue?
Wilson's Barbecue was one of the all-time favorites. We still see people talking about Wilson's.
Their barbecue was great, but I love they had the best camp stew I've ever had, too.
And let me tell you this, their bread was so fresh, you could just grip it into a ball, and that's what was so good about it. They would pour that camp stew over that light bread that was so fresh. Boy, that was good.
I miss Mark's Barbecue. That's what I grew up with. It was good. Mark's Barbecue, all my buddies worked there, and then I miss Country's Barbecue.
Oh, I do too.
I was a big fan of Country's Barbecue.
Let me tell you what Country Barbecue did better than anybody.
They had good
it's sweet potato.
Hand-cut fries.
Yeah, I know, hand-cut fries, but also a sweet potato with butter and...
there were Country's Barbecues in a lot of towns at one time, and then they just dwindled and dwindled.
And
they finally closed their last one in Montgomery. I couldn't believe it.
Well, the one that still has that on their location, I don't know if they own the facility, but it's a great spot for a restaurant.
In Troy, where they were in Troy.
Well,
it's the highest traffic count in the Wiregrass, Highway 87 and 231.
That's right. And Country's Barbecue located right there on that. Corner.
There's 40,000 cars a day pass it.
I miss a fast food place. We used to love Checkers burgers.
Oh, I thought they were good too.
Who was that? That guy? I got to know that man that owned that and opened it. And he had a daughter that was a real good gymnast.
Well, let me tell you this.
Mom and I like to go to Slotsky's Deli too.
I did too. What happened to Slotsky's Deli?
Slotsky was good.
I think they still have one in Montgomery though, don't they?
They've got one. They got one in Birmingham, I know still. But
maybe an Enterprise.
They came in and out. I mean, everybody loved growing up Pizza Village and Pasquale's, all those places.
Pasquale's was really good.
Mr. Crow, he brought us our first pizza place, didn't he?
That's right. Yes, sir. He sure did.
That was exciting when you went to Pasquale's. Yeah. Now, what about? I saw Jerry Beckett at church last night, We eat on Wednesday night, and he and his family and his son gave us Harvey's. Remember that? That was a popular place for a long time. Harvey's?
Yeah, I was trying to...
At the old Big Bear building that Brother Chapman owns?
Yeah, oh yeah.
It was a well-known bar, too, but it had a good meal, too.
I'm going to go back further than that. Davis's Grand Burger, located on the bypass. It was owned by your buddy's daddy, M.A. Davis, former Georgia Tech wide receiver M.A. Davis. Started Davis hamburgers.
What about Brittany's? That was a great restaurant that
Mr.
Dozier had.
Boy, what a restaurant. People still talk about Brittany's, and if Kerry's watching this morning, which he might very well be, that was a great restaurant he had. And very, it was the closest thing to being, what was that?
It was our Ruby Tuesdays before we had Ruby Tuesdays, but it was really better.
Yeah. But when Ruby Tuesdays came out, in Montgomery was the first place I ever saw Ruby Tuesdays. They had wonderful hamburgers. They specialized in their hamburgers, but they don't do that anymore. They go back to something else, but they used to have a really good hamburger. I liked their
onion soup. I remember, and they were always in malls. Remember, they were in it was in Montgomery Mall Eastdale Mall had a Ruby.
And right now in downtown Troy, you've got Mama Goldberg's. Mama Goldberg's is a institution in Auburn. Mama Goldberg's in Auburn. And he's got the same menu, and the food is great. I'll tell you what, try their chili. You'll love their chili. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's great decor, atmosphere. We eat there as much as anywhere else. Now, we still got Crow's Chicken.
Oh,
but not the original one. It's moved.
But I'll tell you this: a lot of people have excuse me, have tried to emulate Crow's Chicken, and a few of them we used to talk about here. But I don't believe there's ever been a chicken that's come out in Pike County that could equal Crow's Chicken.
Well, I don't eat at the one in Brundage because it's too far. But I've heard that they've kept it the exact same formula, and didn't it almost win a best chicken contest in the whole state of Alabama?
That's right.
The Crows and Brundage.
And you know who won that was the outfit out of Luverne.
Did they?
Yeah, Chicken Shack.
Chicken Shack.
They won that award.
Which I've been to Chicken Shack. I don't think it's as good as Crow's.
But I need to go over there and eat there more because it is good food, no question though, no question.
There's Troy is like legendary chicken finger place. Yeah. So everybody's got great chicken fingers. Sisters has got great chicken fingers. Mossy Grove's got great chicken fingers. Crow's has got great chicken fingers. The list goes on.
Mossy Grove has chicken fingers. They have a great steak.
I tell you, you said the best steak fingers ever was a Mexican restaurant, El Palacio's.
Yeah.
Every time I go to El Palacio's, I get the steak fingers.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I'll tell you this, like you said, there's been some great restaurants right here in Troy, and we can keep.
Well, let's see, I can remember the Riverside Cafe on the square.
That's right.
As a kid coming and eating there because
Hickey
and KK would eat there all the time.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a funny story about that. When my mom was a student at Florida State, her freshman year, she called home, and back then they still had the operators that had the connection call.
My number was 6644W.
And the operators must have worked right above there in the old bank in the top floor. So Mom calls and she gets the operator who knows everybody, and Mom's calling for my parents.
Lady, give me a number.
And she says, well, Marcia, she said, Marcia, they're not at home. I'm looking at them right down there. They're down at the Riverside Cafe eating.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But it was the only place.
I didn't realize your mom went to Florida State. She's Florida State grad.
No, she went to 1 year at Florida State, but then she started dating my dad, who was at Alabama, and then she transferred to Alabama.
Yeah. But
back then, if they had the operators having to work, was that 24 hours a day? They had to have somebody up there, I guess.
I bet. Yes, good question, Michael.
I still rate Jim's Barbecue over anybody else's in the state. I love Jim's Barbecue. I love the sauce they put on it. And when you order a deluxe barbecue from
A jumbo.
Jim's Barbecue, a jumbo.
Jumbo.
You have ordered yourself the finest barbecue sandwich.
I always used to get the small until Mike and I went on our barbecue pilgrimage to see an Alabama Troy baseball game.
I kept telling you it's going to take two hands to eat.
Well, we got one to go, some jumbos in his fine truck from Premier Dodge, and I'm driving. I couldn't eat it. I mean, it was too big, and it was, and so we found some country church, and we pulled in their parking lot and ate our jumbo burgers in the parking lot.
I'll never forget. He brought me one before an Alabama game, and I was trying to eat it while I was waiting in line.
Yeah.
And I think I just started dating this girl. I think it covered my face. I mean, that's how much barbecue was dripping off.
I know it.
It's that good.
Yeah,
that's good. Barbecue sandwiches, even cold.
Yeah, and Twix and Tween was good too. And what Twix and Tween, they were open 24 hours. And a lot of people forgot that.
I didn't know
Twix
that.
And Tween.
Yeah, they were open.
And they had the best pies. They had the homemade pies there too. But milkshakes, I remember that.
You had to stop at either Jim's or Twix and Tween or both. And who was it? We always talk barbecue on this show, and somebody mentioned one that I remember that and Dad bragged about and took us to a couple times. Ollie's Barbecue in downtown Birmingham.
A lot of people say it's the best. A lot of people have said it. I'll tell you one in Troy.
I like Green Top in Jasper. I don't know if I've ever been to Green Top.
Yeah, I've been to it many times.
It's really good.
Michael, I've been there many times, and also the Boar's Butt that located in a little town up in East Alabama.
What's the famous restaurant in Bessemer?
The Bright Star. A lot of people say it's the best restaurant in Alabama, the Bright Star in downtown Bessemer.
That's right.
That's a huge Greek family too. That started in 1909, I believe.
I did something, Mike. Tell them what I did one night, one Christmas during the holidays. What I did at the Red Bar. This is at the Red Bar there. Listen to this.
Not the Red Bar, the Bright Star.
Bright Star. I mean, this is the Bright Star.
This is Santa Claus for the Pro Christmas party.
But where I changed my attire, and put my Santa Claus gear on, was at the other end of the restaurant. Well, so I've got my attire on. I look just like Santa Claus, and I was walking down the aisle, and somebody would stop. Can we take your picture? Can we take your picture? Ho, 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 ho. Can we take your picture? Before I got to our party, which was at the other end of the building, we had a big crow party, family party. I bet you I'd stopped to have my photo made more than 20 times before I could get to my party. They said, "Where have you been?" Ho, ho, ho. That's all I said.
Have y'all seen that show on the SEC network that the guy focuses on restaurants in the South?
Yeah, I've seen it, yeah.
The very first little documentary they did, or one of the very first, was on the Bright Star.
Yeah. I'll tell you, there are two restaurants in Dothan.
Bright Star has the best beef tenderloin, I guess because it's all just covered in butter, that I've ever had in my life.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this, the two great restaurants in Dothan,
Mobile is full of great restaurants.
I know, but this is easily driving this distance from Troy to eat at the Old Mill and the Conestoga. I'm gonna tell you a little story about that. The Old Mill and the Conestoga. Wallace Watson's sister owned the Conestoga, and her brother owned, and Wallace's brother owned the Old Mill. Two great restaurants, great steak restaurants that had that great, wonderful recipe.
Yeah, they're great.
And they had the best homemade rolls you ever eaten in your life. Well, that same restaurant, the Pines in Troy, Alabama, was the same people, the same recipe and everything.
We love the Pines.
It was a great place, and of course, it moved downtown, and then. It ended up dropping.
The Pines was fantastic. Mossy Grove was fantastic. Country Kitchen in the day was Mary Finley got all these restaurants going. Arguably, it was fine. And I can just picture me being 12, 13, 11, 14 years old, just rotating between all those restaurants.
I don't want to get into confusion because let me tell you, the sisters started and
but they started off at the Country Kitchen.
Yeah, but they worked there. But
I know, but that's where they learned how to do it, I bet.
Bing, you won't start an argument in a minute, man.
They will tell you that they started.
I know, but she didn't. You know, the sisters.
They broke off like a lot of people and did it. They said we can do this, and they darn sure did it.
That's right, they sure did, and they made a wonderful.
I'm glad they did. But we need to get. I'm just saying that Mary Finley, when we talk restaurants, she needs to get a lot of credit for. The Country Kitchen was
that was the Country Kitchen.
It was, we call it the kitchen, but I think the official name was the Country.
And before that, it was called the Suds and Burger. How many of y'all went to the Suds and Burger? The most famous drive-in restaurant on 231 was the Suds and Burger in Troy, Alabama.
What was the first franchise fast food restaurant that came to Troy?
It might have been Suds and Burger. Let's see, the fast food would be
McDonald's, I would think.
I did a big story on this, so I know this trivia.
Oh, Troy a long time ago had a Jack's near the university.
Yeah, that's right.
But I'm saying Highway 231. Yeah, Uncle Bill brought in Jack's. He owned that shopping center. Now, Hardee's was the first fast food restaurant on Highway 231.
Yeah. Hardee's used to have the greatest playground of all time when we were kids growing up. Everybody had birthday parties.
Yeah,
Hardee's was really good. I mean, Hardee's has changed their formula so much, but at one time when they had the roast beef and the chicken, it was really, really good. I don't know why they messed with it.
Y'all probably don't remember this, but one of the first barbecue houses was called Bob's Barbecue, located in the Forks between Orion Street and the 231 there back in those days, and a lot of people ate at that Bob's restaurant right there.
Wasn't there a hotel up there called Ingram's?
There was a Ingram's restaurant, Grady Ingram. That was Ingram's restaurant, the same Ingram's restaurant that later moved to the Bypass. But he had a wonderful restaurant called Ingram's Restaurant, and we saw the advertisement at the picture show every week. And that's where it was a truck stop, and they did.
They moved it to across from the Starlight Drive-In.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
you could watch the Starlight Drive-In while you were eating at Ingram's.
No, not Ingram's. It wasn't Ingram's.
That wasn't Ingram's. What was the restaurant? What was that restaurant called?
It was.
But there was a restaurant there.
Oh yeah, no question. It was a motel. And
because I can remember eating there. KK, my grandmother went there often.
Yeah.
But the family was eating there. And the drive-in was in there. When the first time I probably saw female nudity, and I saw it on the big screen at the Starlight Drive-in while I was eating it.
Oh gosh! But that was what was the name of that? Everybody knows those folks. Not Bowden's, but Bowden's. I tell you what, Bowden's down the road between Brundage and Troy. It was a little motel there, but they had the best fried catfish you could eat. It was a small, little length type of fish, and I see Mr. Dozier in there many times. Mr. Dago Dozier was always eating there. Called Bowden's Restaurant. And it was a great seafood and hamburger steak guy. But I'll tell you, a big guy, a big person, was. Before it was the Pines, it was called
Nelson's by the Lake.
Nelson's by the Lake, and he owned several restaurants in town. He had the best. You don't even see it on the menu anymore, but
J.D. Grimes.
J.D. Grimes Motel, exactly right. Is that who?
Terry Mack.
Oh yeah, T-Mac called in about that, and he's watching us.
Now, which restaurant was that, though? I've heard of it, but was that the J.D. Grimes? Was that the one?
J.D. Grimes is the one that had the restaurant across the street.
Drive-in?
Yeah, from driving. They had a great breakfast, too. It was a full-service restaurant and motel. It's called there, and
I missed it. It was good.
Yes, it was. No question about it.
And then you say you're right. It would be interesting to see when Jack's, the original, Jack's almost died out and went away, and now it's stormed back. But we had a Jack's hamburger stand in Troy, and part of the Park Lane shopping plaza that my great uncle Bill Chapman developed. I remember that Jack's.
You know, yeah,
When
exactly.
we were growing up, we used to go after church. We'd always go to Mr. J's. That was a real popular place. Shoney's was a real popular place. I mean,
I love Shoney's
I love
breakfast.
Shoney's too.
Yeah. I wish Shoney's come back.
Go to, I remember when Mr. Ho's used to be next to McDonald's.
Yeah, that's right.
And then they moved Mr. Ho's when I was a kid growing up.
But you know, Mr. Ho sold a lot of Chinese food for a long time there.
He sure did.
Well, yeah, the Chinese place that always was good when I was in college was the place that was next to Piggly Wiggly, where the Winn-Dixie used to be.
It still is.
That little place has been there for years. It's really good.
You know, talk
that's
about
very good. You're right.
iconic restaurants in Troy now. The Half Shell is right up there. I mean, it's known far and wide.
You know, but it's changed a little bit, and you know, you know,
through the
The
years.
Half Shell started on 231, kind of like where Wendy's is. It was like a building over there. They originally were.
That's right. Yep. I remember it. I think there was an oyster place. There was an oyster place that was downtown for a couple of years. I don't know if that was the Half Shell too, but there was another, because Dad and Judge Green and the family would go eat oysters there. Then we went to that Wendy's location, and then the Half Shell is as good as it gets.
Yeah, there was a little restaurant where my father-in-law used to eat oysters all the time, raw oysters, located right there on the curve in downtown Troy. And John Lou Wombles used to shuck oysters there, and several people ended up shucking oysters there. And the name of it was?
I don't know.
I can't, but it was.
What year was that?
It's been there. It's back in the 50s, and but that was located on Love Street, down there on Love Street.
You know, the best restaurant I haven't been to yet, believe it or not, I'm embarrassed to admit this, is the barn. What is it? The outdoor barn
you
in
missed
Goshen.
something. It's very good.
Yeah, it is good.
Very good.
I've heard just great things about it. I'm going to go there soon. I'm sorry, I just can't believe I haven't been. And I know the family that started it. It's a great family.
A lot of people go there on Sundays too to eat. They have a good Sundays menu, and it's just a great restaurant. The barn in Goshen, and I knew we would get to that. And you know, the restaurant business is a tough business.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
you got.
I admire anybody that.
I was reading an article right here. Trayvon Diggs from Alabama broke the record for most interceptions by a player from the state of Alabama ever in the NFL this year with 11. But you know the record he broke was Billy Atkins. Billy Atkins, the former Troy coach.
Isn't that unreal?
10 interceptions for the Buffalo Bills in 1961. Did you know that?
That's right. I know he played with the Buffalo Bills, and I didn't know that. No.
So he was not only played in the NFL, he was a very good player in the NFL.
Now, how many people?
Atkins had 10 interceptions in 1961. It was also matched by the Oakland Raiders safety from Georgiana High School named Tommy Morrow. And then in 1962, it was also tied by Bobby Hunt of Lynette High School.
That's right. T-Man, one of my buddy.
He played quarterback at Auburn, didn't he?
Yeah, Motley's best friend. You know,
Bobby Hunt.
Yeah, Bobby Hunt played at Auburn. You had oh gosh, played at Auburn after Bobby Hunt. he was from Lynette.
I think Bobby Hunt was the quarterback too.
Yeah, that's right. He was quarterback.
Reason I know that is Dad's best game he ever played at Alabama was against Auburn his senior year, and Dad had 3 sacks in the football game, and you know teams didn't pass much back then, but he sacked Bobby Hunt 3 times. And Dad once told me, he said after he hit him one time, he said, he hit him pretty hard. He said, "Are you all right, Bobby?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm fine, Billy." So
but you know.
Also another record broken this year was Daniel Carlson, the kicker for the Raiders. Set the all-time record for Alabama players, or Alabama, I guess, for the state of Alabama. He had 40 field goals made, which broke Al Del Greco's record of 36 by the Tennessee Oilers.
And Del Greco.
Also, C.J. Mosley, which is hard to believe. C.J. Mosley's been playing the pros a long time. He set the record for tackles this year with the New York Jets. He had 168 tackles.
Oh, man.
He sat out last year for COVID, so he was well rested.
And T.J. Mosley played right out here 2 years in a row. He played for Theodore High School. Charles Center played them too. And both years, Mosley, I know he had 30 tackles in one game, and I want to say 20-something in the other game.
So you were not surprised when he went to Alabama and had a great career?
I wasn't surprised at all. He was a great one.
That'd be another good topic, is the best players we've seen play against our teams that came in here, players from other teams.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what.
I still think Damien Craig was the best I'd ever seen in high school when Charles Henderson played Blunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was awesome.
We didn't talk about the Mossy Grove like we should have. The restaurant, it was started by Susan Gibson and
that's right.
And Vicky Starling and
those hush puppies are still my favorite of all time. I've never had a hush puppy even close to that anywhere else.
Other than Lord Taylor's now.
They still have their famous relish.
Lord Taylor's got a great hush puppy. But Mike, that was a great restaurant, and still is.
I went to Dewey Destin's, had lunch last week, and nobody had ever heard of Lloyd Taylor.
Are you serious? That's hard to believe.
I swear.
Well, he's been there a long time. In fact, let me tell you this: his grandfather named Destin. He named it.
Really?
Yeah. A friend of ours who's a big Troy guy.
If you wanna have a good time, go to the Destin Harbor this time of year. It's real laid back, and it is beautiful down there. There's a lot of great restaurants right on the water.
Well, let me tell you this: the one
What's
that
the
your
restaurant? What's the restaurant right across from Seaside that everybody goes to?
Oh, they go to Bud and Alley.
Bud and Alley.
Yeah, it's still good,
Is it still doing as good as ever?
You go to Bud and Alley. And get 2 drinks and an appetizer. You're gonna spend $50. It's absolutely insane.
It is a yuppie place, no question.
It's gotten out of control at Seaside. I mean, it's just everything there. Just
Thank goodness the Red Bar, which I still now I know you love that Italian restaurant. What's it called, Baracca's?
Braga.
Yeah, you love that restaurant, and I love the Red Bar. I think
I was in the Red Bar yesterday. I had a vendor in from Galveston, Texas, and I was having to do some tastings, and she had never been to 38, had never been to Grace.
Oh, man.
I actually walked her into the Red Bar. I said, "You got to see this place." I said, "You'll regret it if you were down here and didn't walk in there." She was just blown away. She didn't see anything like it.
And they stuck with that, which I think a lot of restaurants need to do it. Just stick with a basic menu, 4 or 5 or 6 items,
right.
And let you have a pick from that instead of having one of these wild like I was eating it yesterday in Birmingham. And I bet you there was too much to choose from. You're right.
Yeah, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, exactly. But
they stole the concept at a place and that started in Tuscaloosa and Birmingham called Five.
Yeah.
Their concept's just like the Red Bar.
Yeah. Back to
nobody kept it simpler than Dreamland, and I think it's pretty much that way. But when I was in college, you know what Dreamland offered? They offered ribs. You could either get a half a slab or a full slab, and white bread, and that's it.
Right.
That's it.
You're exactly right. And boy,
There's
people
nothing
just
else.
swarm in there. And of course, we're going to do that again because Alabama and Troy play baseball up there. And y'all need to just have a caravan from Troy leaving out to eat at all these great barbecue places.
And Tuscaloosa had some great places. I mean, there was a great steak place for decades called Nick's in the Stick, where you could get a Nicodemus. It looked like a little eyesore, but it packed them in and great food.
Yeah. Today, there's not a buffet, actually, there's not a buffet because they serve your plate. But Nikki's restaurant off of Findlay and Birmingham, they'll feed 600 at least, 600 to 1,000 every day down the. They'll do 1,000. And it's quality food. It is all quality.
Well, you're in Panama City. I mean, like
you gotta know how to order though when you get there. You can't be there.
That's right, and don't be red. They say you're right. Come on. I'll tell you.
Everybody they always say, "How can I help you?"
Yeah.
And basically, you got to know what you want.
You're right. You're right. And it is really good food.
Come out some dessert. My God, they have some dessert.
But one of the things they're famous for is their slaw. Their grated slaw with the French dressing on it. Oh man, you don't get it any better than that.
Well, how many people do you think that like Captain Anderson's will serve on the top Big Mac?
Easily 1,000 a night.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Captain Anderson's is huge, big.
And you know they're famous for their what is it? Their
she crab soup.
And it's been around for decades. I mean, when I was a child, Captain Anderson's was
Michael,
big.
They're famous for their whole pompano.
Well, it's quality.
Grouper, snapper, flounder. I mean, all their fishes.
Everybody used to also go to Angelo's Steak Pit, but y'all tell me that it's not the same as it used to be.
I would not go there.
Well, Angelo's has been known for their quick steak and been known for being able to actually look through a window and say, I want that steak. You know, I like that idea. I want that steak. I like that steak thick.
That's living off its reputation.
That's one thing that it offered that no other restaurant
well, it's like...
the best restaurant they say in Panama City Beach is a place actually in Edgewater Shopping Center. You would never think it was called Firefly. It's where everybody loves to eat.
I don't know, Mike. They've got one in the shopping center there that is really, really good.
I'll give you an example of a place that you can live off your reputation for decades. When Dad and the football team went to New York City after the first Liberty Bowl, Coach Bryant took them for several nights in New York City, and the big restaurant in 1959 was Mama Leone's, the Italian restaurant. And that always made an impression on Dad that, you know, they went and ate it. So he sent us to the 1986 kickoff classic, Alabama versus Ohio State, where Mike Shula was.
I remember that game. I remember it.
And all he said was, you know, y'all got to eat at Mama Leone's. So this was, 27 years later. So we put on our ties and coats and go to Mama Leone's. Oh,
it's closed.
Well, it was open.
Oh, was it?
But it was just such a disappointment. The food wasn't good. The waiters were arguing with each other. It was just run down, and it was not.
I'll tell you.
But the tourists still went to Mama Leone's.
I'll tell you the biggest.
The Dad likes the other Italian restaurant. He likes the Moans in New York City.
Yeah. That's right near the.
We should have gone there.
The theater, the Chicago was right next door. I'll tell you something that is the most overrated place that I've ever known is a hot dog located in Atlanta.
The Varsity.
The Varsity. That's the worst hot dog I've ever eaten. They have it advertised to be the best hot dog in the world. Well, it sure isn't. I'll tell you that.
It doesn't beat Chris's hot dog, does it?
Yeah, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't beat Sam's or any of.
Yeah, it's
Birmingham too. Birmingham's that great.
You know, you go to Georgia Tech game or you on campus, you just got to eat at the Varsity. And I'm not saying it's terrible. I shouldn't say it's a terrible place to eat, but it's not near what it's made out to be.
Yeah.
My book.
I mean, it's cool that you got people coming up to your car. You can order from your car. You sit out there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Kind of a different thing.
It's got that atmosphere about it. No question about it.
You know, when I worked at the Olympics in '96, the best place to eat in downtown Atlanta. Somebody told me a secret, and they said, I guess they had one of the biggest Macy's still in the country, and in the Macy's in downtown Atlanta, there was a diner in the top of it, and it was some of the best food I ever ate.
Yeah. Well, one of the best places to eat, and we're going to be going off there in a few minutes. To me, is the great food that located on the Elba Highway in Troy, Alabama, and of course it's located in an old house, and it's called
Mossy Grove.
Mossy Grove. And let me tell you something about Mossy Grove. They cut their steaks. And you say, I want a thick steak. I want my steak a thick steak. And if you got the right waiter, you're going to get one of the best steaks in Troy, right there at
I'll tell you a Mossy Grove story. When I started dating Carrie, my wife, I said, she might be the one. So I got to invite her to meet Dad. My mom had just passed away, really right when I started dating Carrie. So it was real sad. But Dad was still living. So I brought Carrie down. I said, I want you to meet this girl, Dad. And we went to Mossy Grove steakhouse, and,
Yeah.
and that was the only time. Dad died of a heart attack a month or two later, and so the only time that Carrie met my dad and spent time with him was at our house for a little while, and then at Mossy Grove Steak.
But you know, that cornbread and everything, it's a great restaurant, no question about it. We hope you've enjoyed our show and our list of restaurants. We've got enough information for more shows like this, and I hope you enjoyed it.